and I can't, Joe, you know this. There's nothing you can say to someone who loses a child. You're part of a small, sad club for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, it's mostly a small club. Most parents do not survive their children. And so that's a good thing. That's the way it was always designed to be. You bury your own kid, they bury you, and you move on. And when you bury a kid, it's an awful thing. And the more sudden it is, I think the more awful it is in terms of dealing with it because it's so sudden. One day your son is there, next day he's gone. And people will say to me, well, it's way worse if your son had a lingering illness. What if he battled cancer? And I know kids who have gone through that too. That has an awful side to it too, but it gives you some finality, gives you a chance to put your affairs in order that you don't have when you pass away suddenly. So this happened in a snowstorm, and Brendan was killed driving in a snowstorm with another wonderful young man from Michigan, Mark Reedy, and they died. Brendan was driving. They were trying to get back for a hockey game. They were going too fast, and they were driving in a blizzard, and they hit a reinforced pickup truck, and Brendan was dead. So it's an awful thing. Again, the suddenness of it is the most difficult thing. I was scouting in a game that night in London, Ontario, watching Nazem Kadri play, and Patrick called me and said, "Dad, Brendan's dead." And I collapsed on the floor. I didn't believe. I said, "No, there's some mistake." So it is, and I'm not crying here, although I frequently do when I talk about Brendan. I get something in my eye. It is a terrible thing. It's a terrible shock to a family. It's a terrible loss. It'll never be the same. You get a piece of your heart torn away. It'll never be the same until I pass on, which hopefully won't be for a while. But you can never recover from it fully. You just need friends and family to recover as best you can when you suffer a loss like that.
Right. I mean, yeah. My wife lost her son. My son and my daughter lost their sibling, and it's devastating for all of us, and we need to come together and move on. And there's other people that have helped me along the way. There's bereaved families have been very very helpful for me. And of course, a lot of support from my recovery community and just the community in general, family, and it's we'd be able to get through this. As a result, we have a legacy with Brendan, and tell us a little bit about what you felt that Brendan has helped in terms of a legacy.
Well, I think what happens when you have a loss like that, you've got two options as a family. We met. We went to actually after the funeral. We went to an Irish pub of all places, which I love Irish pubs. But it was the only place that was open for lunch, and we sat and said we've got two choices. I remember talking to the other three kids. I said we've got two choices now as a family. Either we move ahead and make Brendan's memory important, and we move ahead as a family, no one moping, no one sitting crying by the side of the road, or we march ahead. And I said, and I'm marching ahead, and so are you. And everyone agreed we're just going to march ahead, and we said let's figure out a way to memorialize Brendan's passing and turn it into something positive, which was the You Can Play project, which my kids started. Patrick did most of the work on it, but that's You Can Play is basically our family legacy, and on behalf of the LGBTQ plus community. It's done some great work. Basically, the message is if you can play, if you're good enough to play, doesn't matter what church you go to, doesn't matter who you go home with, doesn't matter what color your skin is, if you can play, if you're good enough to help our team win, you can play. So if you can play, you can play. And it's been a wonderful thing. It's been very therapeutic for me, obviously, to watch this growth and see the NHL support of it and the other teams, other leagues support of it. It's been a great help, I think, to young people that are coming up, dealing with these issues.